Rahubat. We are back. We are back. We're back with more Wu-Sabat. Rahubat. Let's see. We're back. I want to make sure everything is okay. We had an interruption today. Okay. Looks like we're back. Hopefully the sound is working now. Rahubat Muisar. Testing. Anyone who can hear me as you log in, press 1 so that I know the sound is good. So, Rahubat, we're back. Can anyone hear me to make sure the sound is good? The sound is working. Rahubat. Is it good to go? Can I be heard? Can anyone hear me? Rahubat. Can anyone hear me? Okay, you hear me? Good. That's what's up. Okay, that's what's up. Rahubat. All right. So we're back. Wow. I don't know what that was. I don't know what the glitch was all about, but we're back. We are back with more Wu-Sabat. We're definitely back. Okay. That's all good. Well, let me do my intro real quick. As usual, for those who do not know me, my name is Peti Sina Tebtu with an A, and I've been over a 36 years student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Paa Nabab Yaa-nanan, also known as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, who has been teaching us our ancient culture. We call Wu-Sabat, also known as Wu-Nawab, which stands for those who make decisions based on sound right reasonability, based on the principles of Ma'at, based on the wisdom of the Hutri. In essence, our culture was always about being in harmony with natural nature. The original culture, all woolly hair, melanated people all over the globe, was being in harmony with natural nature, right? And that is what the master teacher has came to teach these past 60 some odd years, to re-educate us, to renew our culture, because of the fact that for the last specifically 500 years under Western culture, under racism, white supremacy, we've been living adverse culture, European culture, which is just the opposite. Their culture is not rooted in natural nature. Their culture is rooted in everything synthetic. And we argue that lifestyle has been destroying the planet. The planet has suffered a great deal in the last 500 years because humanity has literally shifted to this anti-nature culture, and it's really destroying the planet, literally, and all. And so we argue, if we want to get back to harmony and peaceful lifestyles, is to get back to the original cultures of being in tune with nature again. And this is the basis of our teachings of the master teacher, to renew our culture, to restore our culture. And that's what we teach. And to explain to our people the importance and why this is crucial. If we want to get rid of suffering, now that's the key. If we really want to get rid of suffering, then it's about living a culture that's not based on suffering, which is unfortunately Western culture is. I know we're addicted to it. And for whatever reason, we seem to love this insane culture. And I think part of it is because they've convinced us this is the best there ever was. The Mukasu love saying that. They love promoting, this mankind has reached the highest level of civilization. They promote that, and they convince us. They literally convinced us that this is the best humanity has ever lived, this freaking chaos culture. And they do that because of their so-called technology, their cell phones and their their rocket ships and torpedoes and their battleships and their Lamborghinis they make, and so it makes people think that humanity has progressed, but humanity does not realize, no, we have not progressed, we regressed when you look at the conditions of people and all. And this is what the culture of Wu-Sabat is to explain to our people. We really haven't progressed. We do come from cultures of advanced technology and science. The pyramids, if anyone really just studied the science of the pyramids, you would know that we had an advanced society. We really do. And now it's slowly being uncovered as people find more and more that there was advanced cultures on the planet. They're talking about more about Atlantis. Eventually you'll hear more about the advanced society of Mu and Lemuria. Now they're talking about Antarctica. Basically, civilization used to be on Antarctica, and the master teacher just informed us we have a base in Antarctica. That's where we first set up, as he called the Egg Island. And so we have to overcome this spell of ignorance that we've been put under, thinking that we're primitive or we don't have an advanced society, and we do. We really do. And that's what this culture of Wu-Sabat has been about, is educating us about that. So, hey, family. So again, today we're talking about the man of the hour, right? That's what today's lecture is all about, is the master teacher being the man of the hour. And let's see. I want to go here. This is a book that came out back in 1997. Back in 1997, called The Man of the Hour. It was written by his daughter. This is the master teacher's beautiful daughter. She put this book out, Nin Nagar El, daughter of Nanya Malaka Zodak El. At the time, I'm sure she updated her name today. But this book was put out back in 1997, and it's just talking about all of the things that the master teacher has been teaching us, what he has accomplished, and why what he's teaching is so important and crucial for all woolly-haired melanated people on the planet. And so that's what the book goes through, the importance of our teachings. And so this whole concept of the man of the hour was a prophecy that we find in the book of Revelations, where it talks about, I believe it's Revelations chapter 8, where it talks about the seventh seal being open, and the process of 30 years of time, or 30 minutes, to use this allegorical language in the Bible, 30 minutes, and the 30 minutes is symbolic of 30 years of a timeline when the seventh seal would be open. And the master teacher opened the seventh seal in the year 1970, and he had 30 years to resurrect the mentally dead. He had 30 years to resurrect the mentally dead, to prepare us for the ending of the 6,000-year moon cycle, where it was the ending of the Mukasul's rule. And we were supposed to be ready to rule at that time, right? To be resurrected. And unfortunately, we did not resurrect in the year 2000. So we had a second half hour from the year 2000 to the year 2030. And this period of time, which would have been a time of great turmoil and destruction, which we've seen, right? War upon war. The master warned us about the year 2000 and how the planet will be turned upside down. And I'm sure all of us who are alive, who've been watching for the past 25 years, we're in 2025, all we've seen is mayhem, chaos, and destruction on the planet. I mean, just think about the millions of people that have died within the last 25 years on the planet Earth. That's not normal. I mean, if we really analyze how many people have died in the last 25 years from all of these wars, viruses, natural disasters, just massive insanity and chaos has been going on for the last 25 years. And it's all due to the dimensional shift. We're shifting and we're moving from third density to a fourth density environment. So in order to be able to sustain that shift, your consciousness has to shift. And if you're bound to the third density consciously, this is why we're seeing massive mental health problems all over the globe, because people are not able or not willing to make that dimensional shift. And this is why we're seeing chaos. This is why we're seeing all of these natural disasters, because the planet is making a shift. Everything is changing, right? You see that just in natural nature. We move from the summer to the spring, to the fall, from the fall to the winter, from the winter to the spring, and from the spring to the summer again. Those are shifts. And when we see a cycle shift, you see nature change. And so that's a planetary shift. We see it. And so we have galactic shifts, universal shifts. This is just a natural process in nature, which is why all species are supposed to be in tune and in harmony with nature, so that you know when a shift is coming and you're able to make that shift with nature. But when you're out of your own nature and you're out of your own mind, you get caught up in the changes. And that's what we're seeing on the planet. And this is why the master teacher becomes the man of the hour, who is here as a warner, who is here as a reformer, and who is here as a guide as we're moving through these transitions. This is what makes him who he is. This is what makes him the man of the hour. So if we go back to the actual facts, Paa Nabab Yaa-nanan, called the guidance. Actual facts number 45. Actual facts number 45. What does it say here? Go to the very first paragraph. Let's see here. Paa Nabab Yaa-nanan, the guidance. Paa Nabab Yaa-nanan, the way of Yanun. Paa Nabab Paa Nabab Yaa-nanan, by way of the name of the Nathar, who Nazula Hayin Paa Mikab Taha, came down upon the planet Earth. Paa Nabab Yaa-nanan Lake, the master Yanun, in order to Lakun Wu-Nawab Laya and Kun, teach Wu-Nawab towards you all. Paa Tarak Yaa-nanan, the way of Yanun. Paragraph 1. Laheh ankum ayem mauruda qaradu. For you all, my beloved children, you may ask, and just what is true guidance, and who is the true guide? I will say, Pa Mude, the guide, was Laduda, born in Napata in the year 1845. And it was recorded in his Za'am, religion of Ansarul al-Islam, that after him in 100 years will be born Pa Mujda'or, the reformer, Pa Munza'or, the warner. That would be 1945, myself, Paa Nabab Yaa-nanan, born of his own bloodline, son of his son's son, to reform and renew the teachings as the Quran expired. Surely Allah exalted and magnified will raise from the nation a renewer at the beginning of every 100 years to renew Za'am, religion. The Mahdi of the East was born in 1845. And as the Mahdi, right, means the guide of the West, I was born in 1945. That is 100 years after, right? So the master teacher is Pa Mujda'or, he's a reformer. He's Pa Munza'or, he's the warner. And he's Paa Nabab, the guide for this day and time. 3 powerful attributes the master represents, which makes him the man of the hour. And so let's see, where are we at here? So why Dr. Malachi Z.K. York is the man of the hour. Paa Nabab, the reformer for this day and time, who has taught us our ancient culture of how to live in harmony with natural nature based on the principles of Ma'at and the wisdom of the Hutri, by restoring our 9 mind with 9 knowledge, right? 9 knowledge is right knowledge. So that's what the master came to do as a reformer, to resurrect the mentally dead. We have been mentally dead for the last 6,000 years during the moon cycle, which is why we don't know what the heck to do. We've lost our mind, which means we've lost our way, our cultural way of living, which is why we have adapted to all these foreign cultures that has been destroying us. Paa Nabab, that means the warner for this day and time, who has taught us about the dimensional shift, the spell of Leviathan, the changing cycles of nature, and how our ignorance of these things has affected our lives in a negative way, which has been the cause of so much suffering, pain, and death these past 6,000 years. The master came to warn us about all of these things. I repeat, the warner for this day and time, who has taught us about the dimensional shift that's taking place now, family. He's taught us about the spell of Leviathan, which is why our people are out of their freaking mind, because we're all under this spell, and the changing cycles of nature, right? Moon cycle to sun cycle, moon cycle to sun cycle. And how our ignorance of these things has affected our lives in a negative way, which has been the cause of so much suffering, pain, and death these past 6,000 years. We paid the heavy price for our ignorance. We have been paying a heavy price for our ignorance. You would think our people would be intelligent enough to understand that the master teacher is the master teacher who's explaining why we've been suffering. But we're stubborn people. We're stubborn people. And number 3, Paa Nabab, the guide. So the master teacher is the guide for this day and time, who has shown us how to open our third eye so that we can become one with our oversoul, which allows us to make contact with Paa Nabab and how to build our own nation based on justice, right? This is what the master teacher came to do, to restore our nation, for us to recreate a nation based on justice. Because we've been living under an unjust system for the last 500 years. The Mukasu has no concept of how to create a society based on justice. None of their societies ever been based on justice. All of their societies has been based on exploitation. Whether you go back to ancient Greece, ancient Rome, and everything that came out of ancient Rome, which is the European empires that we've been dealing with ever since. None of them is based on justice. And what they try to do is convince our people that no one has ever created a society based on justice. That's what they teach, the demons that they are. That's a disgusting lie. Kemet, Egypt, would not have lasted for thousands of years. One nation lasted for thousands of years if it wasn't based on justice. Why do you think the Egyptian Kushite society was based on Ma'at? That's all Ma'at is all about, a system based on justice. So the key principle of Ma'at is what? Order. You have to have an orderly society because nature is based on order. In order to have order, you have to have balance. You have the balances, positive and negative, masculine and feminine energies. You have to have balanced energies. That's why in our culture, you had the feminine principle and the masculine principle. You have to have balance in your society in order to have order. In order to have balance, you also have to have justice or judgment. You have to, when you're able to be, how can I say, able to make the right judgments, that's what creates the balance. You have real honest justice or judges, unlike their corrupt court systems. Their judges have no concept of justice. Their judges are just as corrupt as all the regular people in society. Your judge is supposed to be of the priesthood. In ancient Kemet, the judges were the priests, not these corrupt judges you see on the planet today. You can buy them off with money and favors. That's what they were talking about in the United States in the Supreme Court. All of the judges there are being bought off, like that black devil Clarence Thomas. Look it up. There's nothing just about them. In fact, the original Supreme Court justices in the United States, when they set up the Supreme Court, all of them had slaves. I think like maybe one or two of them didn't have enslaved people. How are you going to be a judge and you enslaving people? It's impossible to be just. And so was the question? Munzar means warner. In our language, Sabat, it means warner. Munzar or means a warner for this day and time. Many people have been sent warners in different cultures and different societies. Confucius was a warner to the Chinese. Buddha was a warner to the East Indians. They didn't listen to him, so the Chinese listened to him. But he didn't come for them. He came for, the East Indians and all. And so many people have had warners in their society to educate them. The people, especially when the people sink into a system where it's not based on justice. Their rules, the court rules, is nothing but deception. They have no way of being just. Their courts are garbage. And we shouldn't be in their courts because we shouldn't be a part of their system. We have nothing to do with their system. Their system is not based on justice. They're criminals. All of them are criminals. And they can't be trusted. They're liars to the core. They're nothing but liars and deceivers. And we're foolish to be a part of a system. We're staying in the system. I'm like, y'all don't hear what's going on in the news right now? How Trump, he talked about like the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. is talking too much about slavery. And so he's like, they need to tone it down. They want to change things. They're taking stuff out of it. See, this is what we get for relying on the Mukasa to build stuff for us. This is what we get when you live in somebody else's house. They can give it to you one day, and the next day they can take it away. That's just to show that we have no freaking power. You don't supposed to be living in another man's house. Again, I repeat, this is why I did that lecture. Why do black men allow white men to rule them? I don't know why we feel so comfortable over having the Mukasa rule us. And they don't like us. They hate us. And they have no intentions of sharing power. So that because just on that alone, we're under a hypnotic spell of ignorance. That we can't even see that we don't supposed to stay under the rulership of another man's house. As much as we want to say we're Native Americans and we're from America and we want our rights, first of all, you're not going to get your rights from your conqueror. These people are our adversary. And we, as woolly-haired melanated people, we're indigenous to the planet Earth. We own the whole planet. So we got to stop being stuck up on one area. If we get pushed out of area, like any smart military, you retreat and you regroup. And then maybe once we regroup, we can rebuild and then come back. But we don't stay in the area if we're getting our butts kicked. What's wrong with us? I'm like, what's wrong with it? I'm like, where's their military sound sense at? You don't let your soldiers get wiped out. That's all they've been doing. Is how many of us they've been putting us in jail? We all know the prison system was set up after slavery to maintain control over us. We know that they did not end slavery. The 13th Amendment shifted slavery, the system, to a prison system. That's all it did. Read the 13th Amendment. You know, that documentary they did on Netflix that called 13th, that sister, she broke it all down. And also that scholar, that female, what's that thing? Something Alexander. She wrote the book called The New Jim Crow. Study it for those who don't know. So again, the master teacher is the man of the hour. He's the man of the hour that came to restore our right knowledge. We've lost our sound reasoning, so we make these irrational decisions, and it's been harming us. It's really been killing us as a people because we keep making irrational decisions that doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to stay with your oppressor? But we do, and you can't tell us nothing. So here we go. So we go to what's this? This is the Master Secrets is page 21. Master Secrets, Matt, right? Me and Matt. True Justice, right? True Justice. Master Secrets on Matt. Right here. It says this right here in the very first page. Laha ankum ayah munura munwapu qara'u yawal ate rada'at nunya wu natam at shalal mimat. For you, my beloved Nawapian children, these are our rules and statutes of Ma'at, the natural rules of Fatar, nature, Miamat, true justice. For all living creatures on this Mikab Taha, the planet Earth, all living creatures must obey the natural rules of Miamat, true justice. And there are those who were made by unnatural Nadamat, laws of six ether, of unnatural Fatar. This is revealed by their very nature and actions, as well as hidden intentions by choice on the scale of Takru'at, decisions. He talking about the children of Leviathan, the Mukasu. Their whole system, they're chaos culture, moon culture, culture of the dead, right? So their society is the way it's supposed to be. That's who they've always been about. Chaos culture. You know, war, bloodshed, deception. All they do is lie. They lie about everything. I don't know what's wrong with us that we listen to these people. These people that all they do is lie. You know, here we go. What's this? On page 3, the master says, let all others be danuna, judged by our own Nathamat laws, not the Tim Fata'al, unnatural man-made laws, right? We're not supposed to be being judged by them. This is what makes the master teacher the warner. He's been warning us and telling us these things, and we still don't listen. It's insane. He said their judicial system is unjust. Their education system is unjust. Their medical health system is unjust. Their political system is unjust. Their penal system is unjust. Their financial system is unjust. Their media is unjust. Their theatrical system is unjust. Their religious system is unjust. I'm like, what more? How much more warning do we need? Ray Charles can see that this is an unjust society. What's wrong with us? We've been here for 400 or 500 years dealing with these people. The master teacher hasn't been the only one warning us. We have many different warnings. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad warned us. But the master has been the most profound warner of this day and time, because he explains our situation, not just from a planetary scenario, but from a galactic scenario, from a dimensional scenario. Because the more when we choose not to listen and we become obsessed with living in this unjust system, you bind yourself to the third density. You bind your spirit because you lose your soul. When you live outside your nature, you've given up your soul. The master came to restore your soul. And so that's why he's such an important warner for this day and time. This is what makes him a reformer. He's here to reform you and I so that we can restore our soul. This is the whole point of Wu-Sabat, the reformation of our soul. So again, so the fata'al radat, the natural rule of nature is mimat, true justice, which radu rules all natural matter, right? We as Nawapians live by the natural rules of natural nature, ma'at, right? So our culture, it's not, the culture of Ma'at is not a planetary culture. The culture of Ma'at is a celestial culture. It's a galactical culture. It's a multiversal culture, right? Our galactic family is their society is based on Ma'at. The Nathar society is based on Ma'at. The master teacher explained this in detail. Where is this? He did an update talking about that. If I can find it real quick. Let's see if I can find it real quick. And we can touch on it a little bit, how important the culture of Ma'at is. It's it's no joke. If I can find it, is this it? Is this it? Yeah. He talks about it right here. This is what the section of the Emerald Tablets the master teacher put out. Start on page 11, or no, paragraph 11. For now has come the time to read to you the Emerald Tablets. Take heed. Nabab Patah. Pa Hatat Shalil Ma'at, the house of truth. Good, which is good, justice, and righteousness. Pare'ah, Patatun. Recite these very words to the seed of Paa Nabab, the great realm of Paa Nabab. I am to be the last Nabab of the house of Ma'at, the ruler of that realm, and I address you now. In the gatherings at the ending of our visit, as ignorance fall around us for this last time. It is my final duty to explain to my offspring, children, how this tragedy could come to be. For over 6,000 years ago, the house of Ma'at has ruled this sector of the galaxy from our home world of Binu. And long before that, the distant past is now spoken of only as myth and legend when it is facts and truth. And I, Patatum, am sure this is also how you Nawapians will one day come to regard me. Trust me when I say that your heritage is vast, your legacy rich, in ways that you may not seem so. In ways to you may not seem so. But if you are reading my words from this emerald stone, then by chance it has not been in vain. This means our holy race has managed through the 6,000 years of Isfut, right, which is Leviathan, right, to survive this terrible spell of ignorance. This is even now befalling you, and perchance you who are reading this have risen to the dawn of a new day. I, Potartun, regret that I had that I can leave only this meager record, and that this which I will tell you, it is perhaps the supreme irony of a legacy recorded in the heavens of Sa'at, which is Orion family, must now be reduced to a me-stone. We Natharu have been forced to devise methods that may stand the test of time, incorruptible and unaffected by the awesome evil ways of our enemies of Apophis. Our enemy, let me tell you about your enemies. They are a savage race who call themselves by many names and titles. Pahika Hasutu, but my seed have come to call them the devils or Apap. So again, that's part of the Emerald Tablets the master teacher put out to us, that the culture of Ma'at is not a planetary culture to ancient Kemet. It is a galactic culture. It is a galactic culture. That's why the Mozaku are responsible for maintaining harmony and balance throughout the universe. That's their job. You know, and we are part of that celestial bloodline, which is why those demons hate us, because they hate what our origins is, the Pleiadians, the reptilians that we're dealing with. The government now is talking about it. Family, look that up. The government now, people in the government is now beginning to admit the different types of extraterrestrials they've been dealing with, and they put the Pleiadians on the list, the Nordics. They said Nordics. They said the reptilians. They obviously, everyone know the Greys, and they said some type of insectoid type species. So gradually, all that the master teacher's been teaching since the 70s, and everyone calling him crazy, bat hell crazy, they call them. Now all of this stuff is being exposed and coming out. For those who have an ear, let them hear. But facts are facts, truth is truth. This is what makes the master teacher the man of the hour, to put out these types of actual facts, these realities that our people are just ignoring, and they're going to the club, they're going to shopping malls, they're going to restaurants, they're lolly, and paying no attention to the world around them. And the world is chaotic. Just pay attention to what's going on in the world. And power. That's what you have to pay attention to, power. But our people have been so seduced in a state of ignorance that we don't even care about power anymore. And we're comfortable with living in systems that's not based on justice. This is one of the reasons why all of these African nations, or nations ruled by Black people, they're unjust. And our people are literally just accepting it. Like, what they think that some president, what is it, Cameroon? One of those countries in Cameroon, the guy's like 90 years old and he still wants to rule the country. What the hell? The hell he can do at 90? He doesn't want to give up rulership. That's chaos. I don't know if y'all seen that. He's not the only one. I think it's Cameroon. There's another country out there, another leader like 900 years old and still want to stay in power. Let me see. Is it Cameroon? Cameroon. Hold on. Hold on. Where is this? Yeah, he's 92 years old. the president of Cameroon. This guy is 92 years old. Look at this. Cameroon president seeks to remain in power until almost his 100th birthday. This guy is 92 years old. I'm like, he doesn't want to relinquish power for someone who's younger, more vibrant, thriving. And it's not like he's running the country effectively. He's not. He's not running the country effectively. He doesn't want to relinquish power. I'm like, that's insanity. You can't have a harmonious society if the society is not based on justice. And our people are letting people like this get away with. I'm like, it's madness. Why would you want somebody in rulership? He's not cognitive. They claim that his daughter is married to some crime boss, a Mukasu. She married to some guy who, in fact, I think he's wanted. He's like an international gun dealer or something. I'm like, they're criminals. Just like I think the leadership out of Angola, they're just criminals. Most of the nations on the continent, they're criminals, man. And the people suffer. Why do the people suffer? Because the people don't have right knowledge to demand justice from their leadership. That's really what it is. We've lost our reasonability, and that's the only ignorance can allow someone who is literally, not for the people, who basically abuses his power. He can only get away with that if the population is ignorant. And so most governments around the world keep their people ignorant about politics, power, economics. They keep the people distracted with ridiculousness about when it comes to sports and entertainment and music and dancing. That's what they do to keep you distracted, watching TV, watching commercials, shopping in the mall. They keep you occupied with constantly working. They keep inflating the prices of everything. So now you need to make more money to spend for the same stuff. So they keep you constantly occupied so you can't focus on power. Yeah, I know the brothers in the Sahel and Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger, they're trying to make a difference, but they need right knowledge. If there's any brothers on the continent, y'all got to get right knowledge there. In fact, places like Burkina Faso, they're looking for educators because they have to revamp their educational system. All of Africa has to revamp their educational system because of the fact they're teaching their children Western philosophy. Literally, they're teaching their children Western philosophy. It's madness. And they're wondering why they're suffering. This is what makes the master teacher, the warner for this day and time, the reformer for this day and time. This is why he's considered the man of the hour, to warn us about the conditions that we've been in as a people. The Mujaddid, the reformer, the Munzar order, the warner, and the Muhdeh, the guide. Because our people really need guidance because they have absolutely no clue on what to do. They're clueless. And this is why they look to the Mukasu for solutions. And the Mukasu is clueless. He's destroying the planet. Why the heck we're looking at him? They said the daughter's in Atlanta club. She probably is clubbing. Probably at strip clubs or whatever the heck. This is madness. At all. It's just mass madness. So again, the master teacher has been telling us about these things. In fact, I'm gonna bring up an old scroll. This is a powerful scroll. This one right here. The Book of Lamb. This one came out. This is the Book of Lamb. This one came out 1985, family. The Book of Lamb, 1985. To whom it may concern, fear no longer, for I have arrived. The master teacher, the reformer for this day and time. The Book of Lamb. Yeah, 1985 that this came out. This is when the master teacher, he was 40 years old. That's when he realized that his oversoul, Ya-nanan, they were one and the same. He said that. He said he didn't realize the Ya-nanan who was moving through him, right? He didn't realize that they were one and the same and all. Because when he talks about how Ya-nanan introduced himself in 1970 as this being, he didn't realize it, because you're dealing with two distinct personalities almost, so two separate consciousness. Your oversoul have a distinct consciousness, family. You all of y'all have an oversoul. That's why we say you lost your soul. You literally forgot that you have a higher self. This is the whole point of the doctrine, why the master is a reformer, to teach you how to connect with your oversoul. But you know why you're not connected, right? You know why we're not connected. The heart center. Our heart is, before I go into this book, this is why I talk about in the core principles. What does it mean to be a Sabaean? Our heart is not true. You have to be a good person, right? Someone who cares and is passionate about it. You got to be a caring person. Someone who's helpful and honest. Someone who's responsible and hardworking. Someone who's humble and demands justice. Someone who's someone who's honorable and demands justice, number 4. Someone who is righteous and humble, number 5. Someone who's excited and cheerful, number 6. Someone who's loyal and committed, number 7. Someone who's kind and considerate, number 8. And someone who's neat, clean, and orderly. You have to have a good heart to represent any of those things. Your heart center has to be right. Wu-Sabat deals with the mind and the heart. They have to meet. They both have to meet. It's not good enough just to have right knowledge. It's not good enough just to have right knowledge. You have to have a good heart. That's why we haven't resurrected yet. Because most of us are still selfish, egotistical, self-righteous. We got all this knowledge, but we're not good people. Slandering people, we gossip about people, we lie, we cheat, we steal. We're not nice, and we're not loving. We pick and choose who we love. And I can assure you, the Nathar is not interested in anyone who behaves like that, and nor is your oversoul. Our oversoul has no interest in making contact with us who behave like that. Hey, you still talking about that sister Angola? Yeah, it's a darn shame if that's true. She run around jet setting. But let's get back to let's see. So we have the Book of Lamb, right? So we're talking about the Book of Lamb, the master wrote. So in 1985, this is when he really realized him and Ya-nanan were one. He said this, and where we at? On page 11. He said, I, As-Sayyid al-Imam Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, I am the first begotten of the dead, right? So he's the first one among us his oversoul has been restored. He's now in tune with his oversoul. The first human being that's in tune with their oversoul. That's what that means. The first begotten of the dead. He said, called such because I am an ordinary man like you, born of a mortal. He said, I travel all over the world to such places as from America to Sudan to Egypt to Nigeria to Mecca to Morocco to London to Germany, etc., thus allowing me to know the mentalities of the people that I would come in contact with. I have lived through many experiences. I can see your games, your tricks, your slander, and backbiting. This is 1985 he's talking. He's 40 years old now. He says, so stop fooling yourselves. You can't pull the wool over my eyes. I was rejected by my people before as a result. He's talking about in the Sudan, they rejected him, the Ansars, because they wanted to be Orthodox Sunni Muslims. They were losing the teachings of the Mahdi, literally. They don't live the teachings of the Mahdi no more. Let's keep going. He said, I was rejected by my own people before, and as a result of their negative attitudes, I was driven away. However, this will not be the case now. And because of my perceptibility, many selfish people who desire only to feed their ego will reject me. However, I, the reformer, the mujaddid, right, am here to give the black man in the Western Hemisphere his spiritual heritage, right, to restore our spiritual knowledge. That is the only way you can restore your soul, family. This is what, as the reformer for this day and time, this is what makes him the man of the hour. He is here to restore your spiritual knowledge. Name one teacher that did that. Name one black leader that had any kind of spiritual knowledge to educate black people about their spiritual nature. Because everyone knows in ancient Kemet and ancient Kush, you had a bunch of spiritual masters in the priesthood in ancient Kush. Amenhotep, son of Hapel, was one of them. He was one of the high priests during the time of Amenhotep III of the 18th dynasty. He was a spiritual master. Everybody know about Enhotep. During the 4th dynasty, Zoser, him and Zoser were masters on the planet. So you had spiritual masters back then. Where are they today? They don't exist no more. That's why that society was building the monuments and the advanced culture that we had in ancient Kush and in ancient Kemet. Because you had master teachers there. Real master teachers. In order to be a master teacher, you have to be a spiritual master, not the fake master teacher. Everyone now is a master teacher because I mastered history or science, or I mastered some school of thought. And they have no spiritual knowledge, but yet they're a master teacher. The whole thing of master, right? We in ancient Kemet, we said Nabab, right? They said Nabab. People translate it as Neb in the Metanetta. They say Neb is really Nabab, as the master teacher explained to us. And then the Bab, when the Hebrews got it, what did it turn to? Rab or Rabboni. That's what they called Jesus, Yeshua in the Bible. They called him Rabboni. It meant master. Jesus was what? A spiritual master. That's where the concept of rabbi, the priesthood, the priests were the masters. And that came out of ancient Kemet. So they were Nabab. That's why the rulers, in order to be a ruler in ancient Kemet, to be a pharaoh, you had to be a Nabab. Look up their names. You'll see Nabab in front of their names. That's how the Mukasu, he took it and he came up with the concept of Lord. Right? As the master said, that Lord thing goes back. And lords, the lords of the land, who were demons in England and Europe. And they became physical masters, aka the slave master. As opposed to us, we were spiritual masters because the Mukasu had no spiritual knowledge. They just oppressors. So let's keep going. So, however, I, the reformer, the mujaddid, I'm here to give the black man and woman in the Western Hemisphere their spiritual heritage, their natural and only language, Arabic, right? We know it's really Sabbaic, their proper way of life, following the traditions of the prophets of Allah, the exalted, al-Islam, right? We know Islam was the peaceful way of life. We were the peaceful ones, not the fake religion of that the Mohammedans that Pale Arabs created. You know, they distorted the whole culture. Anyone know anything? The master teacher, you know, made it clear. Islam, all of the religions came out of ancient Kemet, ancient Kush. They plagiarized it. They took our culture, like the fast of Ramadan, that came out of ancient Kemet, the 30-day fast we did. The pilgrimage to Mecca, they took that from the pilgrimage to Karnak. We had the Mugaraj, where they walked around the cube in Mecca. They got that from the Mugaraj in Kemet, and the labyrinth that they created in Kemet. They stole it all. The dua and prayer in Islam, we call the dua the prayer. They got that from the concept of the dua in ancient Kemet. Talked about the underworld and communicating with the underworld. And we had prayers for that. That's where Islamic prayer system comes from. The prayer positions, the master show how all the prayer positions come out of ancient Kemet. They didn't do nothing new, including the dress. Rasulullah Muhammad wore the long white jalabiyah. Anyone who look at any of the iconography, the pictures, the artwork in ancient Kemet, they wore long white robes. And the master teacher said that's not an earth dress style. That dress style comes from the Nathar. The Mozaku wear the long white robes. So it's not even from earth. That's why they dress in the long white robes. And it talks about that in the book of Revelations. Those who are gowned in white in the book of Revelations. The Sudanese are the ones who wear that dress style. Again, this is what makes the master teacher the man of the hour with these actual facts. So I'm in the same book of Lamb, right? We're on page 129. He says this. He says, since my transformation from an ordinary man into a supreme being, right? That's when he realized he was one with his oversoul, Ya-nanan. I have released the unbridled spiritual powers that are characteristic to your godlike nature, right? He's talking about we have a godlike nature. He came to restore that. He said, the power given to me by the Holy Spirit has allowed me to bring you out of the darkness and into the light of undisputable truth. These truths have released you from your fears of the devil. Allah has cursed them, renewed your faith in the Creator, and erased the lies and oppression that has enslaved your once highly intellectual mind. You see that? Your once highly, we used to be intelligent when we ruled ourselves back in the day. We lost our minds. The master teacher, as a reformer, came to restore our divine consciousness. Lost our minds. He goes on to say, as the anointed one, my character has been molded to perfection, and I possess the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding needed to raise 144,000. By leave of Allah, the exalted, I have 76 trillion years of knowledge. Y'all hear that? That's our birthright. The master came to restore our 76 trillion years of knowledge that we've lost and we've forgotten our own what we are. But you have to become in tune with your oversoul to have it restored. And obviously, we haven't been able to do it because we haven't been able to overcome Leviathan within our personality. Our heart center is still off. Our heart center is still off. It's really off. So you can see how long the master teacher has been teaching this talking about this science about us restoring ourselves. He says here, page 130, as with all the other prophets and apostles before me, I too have gone through trials and tribulations while performing my mission. However, my job of restoring pride and dignity to a people who have been stripped of their way of life, their culture, and their purpose is not an easy one. I have been faced with the job of restoring your soul. Y'all hear that? I have been faced with the job of restoring your soul. The soul you gave up the moment you began putting your petty desires in front of your spirit. You started wanting this and desiring that and lost all contact with your soul. You lost contact with your oversoul when you became a victim of your own ego, your own lust. We all got possessed by Leviathan, the spirits of Leviathan. We talk about it all the time, right, family? You go back to the core principles, right? Go back to the core principles we talk about. Our goals as students of Wu-Sabat: number 1, raise the self. Number 2, fight Leviathan. Number 3, work the Bel Sabbatia. We have to set up our own community and nation, right? So you go back to number 2, fight Leviathan, which includes working to free Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, promoting Wu-Sabat, become a student teacher, and fight the 6 strongest weapons of Leviathan, which are what? Ignorance. That's what those spirits do. They cloud the mind, because these are spirits. They're fog. They're ghost spirit forces. They fog the mind, put you in a state of ignorance. Your energies get weak. From ignorance creates fear. From fear perpetuates the ego. From the ego, it perpetuates lust and desire. From lust and desire, it perpetuates lust and deception. From lust and deception, it perpetuates anger and bloodshed. You've heard me talk about this many times. This 6 attributes of Leviathan: lust, oversoul, our divine nature. We became disconnected, and the only way to restore that is your heart center. You have to restore yourself to being a good person. Stop the slander, stop the gossiping, become a good person. Care, learn to care, not just about yourself, but your people. You have to fix your heart center. I've talked about this many times. This is 1985. The master said it then. He's saying it today. We haven't changed our doctrine. Our teachings has been the same. Don't listen to the black devils, those ex-students that try to confuse you and misquote our doctrine on purpose. You know, I mean, they're ex-students because they obviously didn't have enough right knowledge to understand the doctrine. I mean, that's just the reality of it. When you're so possessed by Leviathan creates ignorance in the mind. Something could be right in front of you, but you still can't see it. Deaf, dumb, and blind. Sumu, umu, upmun, as they say, as the Muslims say. Deaf, dumb, and blind. You can't see, even though something's right in front of you. What is this? Right here. This is Master Secrets 10 Casts. Salvation. Master Secrets Salvation 10 Casts. Page 16. The Master Teacher says on paragraph 138, he says, let's see. This is salvation knowledge, new knowledge. None before me have explained this way, right? So this is the actual facts. This came out, I don't know, about a decade ago, right? 10 years ago, 2015 or whatever. So I was just reading the other scroll I was reading in 1985, and I'm reading this book that came out, maybe about a decade ago, 2015 or something, 2016. He says this. He says, this is salvation knowledge, right? New knowledge. None before me have explained this way, right? No one is taught what the master teachers taught in the last 60 some odd years. No one. That's what makes him the man of the hour. This gives you a whole new way of looking at the Bible and the Quran and the Book of Mormons and the God of them, as well as the angels of them. This is right knowledge of Wu-Sabat, here to replace the fictions, the legends of faith and belief. These are the actual facts. As they recorded, you shall know the truth, not the cock, faith, or a cad, belief, right? It's crazy because that's in the Bible. You should know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And they keep talking about faith and belief. When the Bible tells them, y'all need to be dealing with truth, which is facts, not beliefs. But let's keep going. The truth, the facts. And now it is both mentally and physically from the rule of the devil. That's how we get from under the rulership of the Mukasu, family. Through the truth, right? Dealing with the actual facts, restoring our mind, our mental. Once you restore your mind, then you can restore your physical body, your physical self. Because why did we let the Mukasu rule us? Out of ignorance. That's why our mind, our consciousness has to be restored so that that's right. The green light is the key, the healing the heart center. And I'll go back to the heart center in a minute. Actually, the What and Where in Hell scroll focuses on the heart center, family. I've read it many times before, and I'll do it again. Just as a reminder, overstanding the heart center. Again, it's not enough just to have right knowledge. Your heart has to be right. That's been the issue with students of Wu-Sabat, Nuwapians. We have all this knowledge, but the heart center is not right. That's why we said love and unity. Love is the heart center, divine love. That's what's going to solve the problem for us. Where are we at? Hold on. Where are we at? Our true roots. The master says it right here. We're on page 13. This scroll right here, Our True Roots. This scroll came out in like 2001. Our True Roots. Our True Roots. Question. What will black politicians free us? Right? That was a question because our people love politics, voting for these political leaders. Answer, absolutely not. Because most of your black politicians or black leaders, whether they call themselves revolutionists or black religious sectarians or black supremacists, with the going back to Africa or Israel dream or voting to put blacks into power, all of these people, or at least most of them, got into position by working for and with the evil one, and go back to the framework of monotheistic religions, whether Mosesism, Christianism, or Mohammedanism. Those that didn't, such as Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, Martin Luther King Jr., were swiftly eliminated because of their sincerity. You are in a bad way as a people, and only, here's the key, and only a divine force within your very chest can liberate you from this bondage in America or the Western world, right? And so what he's talking about, your heart center is how you restore your soul. You fix your heart center, how you restore your soul, which would then restore your divine consciousness. And then you will have the know-how and to get away from being under the rulership of the Mukasu. Nothing outside you. If you wanted salvation, look in the mirror. If you want salvation, look in the mirror. You have to fix yourself. I'm reading to you salvation knowledge. This is what makes the master teacher the savior. He's giving salvation information. But the question is, what are you going to do? If you're not going to take his advice and learn to become a good person. That's the key. Learn to become a good person. So let's go back. Where was I? I was in the Master Secrets. Here we go. Master Secrets. This was Master Secrets Salvation, number 14, right? So he goes on to say, no, it was always with you from 1970. You see that? The Master, that's why I showed you. I just read a book from 1985. This is a Master Secret that came out like 10 years ago. The doctrine hasn't changed. We changed the cloak of the doctrine. We either use the cloak of Islam, we use the cloak of Native Americans, we use the cloak of Moors. We use different cloaks to teach the doctrine, but the message was always the same, which was resurrection of your divine self, to restore your soul. It was always about restoring your soul. And so the master was like, I'll use whatever doctrine I need to use to teach you how to restore your soul. If we got to be the Egyptian Church of Quraysh, then I'll use that. If we got to be Hebrews, I'll use that. If we got to be Muslims, I'll use that. I'll use whatever it takes to restore your freaking soul. So again, he says, no, it was always with you from 1970, right? As Nubian Islamic Hebrews. And the original flag was right here. This was the flag of the Mahdi, had pyramids. That's why we identified with the Mahdi Muhammad Ahmed of the Sudan. That took us back to ancient Kemet. I told you they stole Islam from Egypt. This Islam, the whole culture comes out of Egypt, the Islamic culture. That's why we were Ansars. They copied the culture. That's all they did. Same thing with the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church comes out of that was freaking the culture of Cleopatra. Those who Sphinx family, the Sphinx, the Holy Cat, Catholic. Those who were in tune with the Holy Cats, Bastat. These all that came out of Kemet. That's where the Romans learned that from. The Greeks learned that from. They learned all this stuff and they created religion, family. Remember, the master kept saying, Jah, Zeus, Jah, Zeus. You hear that? Zeus. And they took Zeus, their god Zeus. Anyone knows the origin of Zeus? According to the Greeks, they got that from Amun. Zeus comes from the deity Amun in ancient Kemet. Look it up. All of the Greek gods they rewrote them from the Egyptian. No, Hermes is Tahuti. Greeks didn't have no culture. They learned that. That's what the master teacher explained. The first ruler of Greece was Khufu. They called them Cheops. Cheops is Khufu. That's why that Mukasu, what's that white guy, Martin Banal, he wrote that book called Black Athena, basically talking about how the Greek culture came out of ancient Kemet. And Whitey was pissed at him that he exposed that truth. So again, right here it says, so Muhammad Ahmed ibn Abdullah al-Mahdi of Nubia in Sudan and Egypt was well aware of our Egyptian past and presented that fact on his flag by the two pyramids, right? So the Mahdi knew he was connected to Kemet. He knew that. You know, he lived in Nubia. So the seventh seal was opened in the year 1970, giving you 1/2 hour of 30 years to wait from the hypnotic Hajj Shalil Noam, the spell of Leviathan. 1970 plus 30 equals the year 2000. That is the year of your salvation. Salvation is the act of preservation, deliverance, liberation, and emancipation from the Latin word salvare, how you pronounce that, meaning slave. I am that Savior you have looked for so long, raised up amongst you, was with you, yet you knew me not. Right? Because we haven't listened to the master. That's what we're saying. We haven't restored our oversoul. That's the key, family. You know, you have to become good people again. Here we're back to Master Secrets number 29. Matt, I was reading about Matt earlier. Right here. We go to the we'll start let's see. Page 18. Yeah, I guess I'll start at page 18. The lost is found for the first resurrection, and now in the hereafter, the double resurrection, right? So, Munwapu, you must know your story, and that each leader sent amongst you played their part in your taboof, resurrection. Yet, as great as the little wise man, the honorable Elijah Muhammad, the messenger of the lost, but now found tribe of Shabazz. Many will try to step into his shoes, but none can. I watched for many years from 1970 as they did all they could to slander his name, not knowing he was under the protection of the Musyad Muhtalu, the extraterrestrials, on the mothercraft. He is alive and well. He's talking about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is what is within the thought. They're looking over the blessed Holy Muhammad. Bless her and her children, the holy seed. I am Baba Yaa-nanan, Baba Yanun, also known as El Khidr, Galzu, Dedi, Melchizedek, the Ancient of Days. I incarnate from time to time to renew our 24,000-year story. I was known in Ansar Allah as Al-Mujaddid, the reformer, the renewer, who was to come after Al-Mahdi every 100 years until the return of Al-Masih. I was born in 1945 in this incarnation. The Al-Mahdi of the Sudan, Muhammad Ahmed Al-Mahdi, was born in 1845 in the Sudan, right? So that's 100 years apart from the Mahdi of the Sudan to the master teacher. They're 100 years apart according to prophecy. Prophecy fulfilled. I bring all that is needed to know like an ever-flowing river of water. I have taught you and have so much more to teach you from the beginning of never ending, how all became the all, from the tone of Takyui, creation, Kalei Makwam, omniverse, to Kalei Makwam, multiverse, to triverses, to dual verse, to this very Wahu Makwam, universe, and how and when it all came about. I am Paa Nabab Yaa-nanan, Achak Bata, called over time the Hutri. I ask for nothing of you, only that you read. Don't believe me, check things out. Know the truth so that knowing the truth will free you. All must be done before 2030, the second half hour of the final hour, 60 minutes or 60 years is one half, 30 minutes or 30 years. So he says, right, Revelations chapter 8, verse 1 talks about that first half hour, the first 30 minutes from 1970 to 2000, which was the end of the devil's rule. And it was really our time to rule, but we weren't ready, right? Then we got another 30 years, the double resurrection or the second resurrection from 2000 to 2030. The end of your chance of salvation, the Master has it here. These are the days of the final hour. Again, the man of the hour. Let's keep going. Where are we at? Let's see. Where are we at? So much to give. So let's go back to the man of the hour. In this scroll right here, remember this scroll, the man of the hour, written by the master teacher's daughter, who put this out back in 1997, right? 1997. She put this out. Where are we at here? Let's see here. This is a very, very informative book, very powerful book, The Man of the Hour. And he says right here, this is on page 83. Here, however, he came in order to inform you, in order to reform us, which is who he is, the reformer, and what he has always claimed to be. You see, you have to be informed in order to be reformed, because the information is the reformation of your transformation. There are so many things that our people don't know about because they don't read. And that is where the saying comes from. If you want to hide something from a nigger, put it in a book. That's pretty sad, but it's reality. Unfortunately, family, for this reason, he puts his words into books in order to make Nawapians read and educate themselves. When you really, do a survey on our people, you see how unknowledgeable they are. We don't study. The internet has helped. It has helped, I believe. But we still so much we don't know. There's still so much we don't know. And obviously, our people don't have the right knowledge in order to understand who the Mukasa is. We still have, and the Mukasa is telling you who he is. And our people still don't get it. Oh, question. What is Wu-Sabat? Wu-Sabat is the ancient culture of all woolly-haired melanated people. It is the original culture of all woolly-haired melanated people, right? Called African people today, called Black people today. Wu-Sabat was a culture where we lived in harmony with natural nature. It was the original culture of woolly-haired melanated people. We lived in harmony with natural nature based on the principles of Ma'at and the wisdom of the Hutri, right? That was the original culture. Black people, woolly-haired, melanated people are suffering. We're suffering because we got away from our original culture of being in tune with nature. And we've now embraced foreign cultures, in particular Western culture, which is based on the opposite of nature. It's anti-nature, artificial everything, what the Mukasu does, the Europeans. Now artificial intelligence, they got artificial food, they got artificial clothes, they got artificial everything with them is artificial. There's no connection to nature. And all humanity, everything comes from nature. Anyone who creates a society or culture which is anti-nature will suffer. And that's why the world is in chaos, suffering, because humanity has lost its connection to nature, because everyone is following the Western world, European cultural system, because Europeans waged war on nature-based societies. The Catholic Church started that. Research the doctrine of discovery with the Catholic Church, the popes of Rome, and they wage war on all people they call pagans. What is a pagan? Pagan, spell it. P-A, stands for pa in our language, means the, and gan, G-A-N, pagan, means the garden. Basically, a pagan is those who live according to nature. And they wage war on all of those people in Africa and North America, the Americas, North and South America. Anyone who had nature-based culture, the Mukas, the Europeans, waged war on them and got everyone under their religion. And now everybody all over the world is worshiping the white man as God. And that has destroyed the planet. It has destroyed the planet and created massive chaos. And there's been wars and bloodshed ever since. And chaos ever since. And so we teach that it is best for woolly-haired, melanated people, if they want salvation again, to get back to our original culture, our culture rooted in nature and connected with our ancestors who are multidimensional. We used to be in communication with our multidimensional ancestors. Our people literally forgot all of their ancient knowledge. We forgot how we even built the pyramids. We had high sciences, and we've lost all of that because we've given it up for a foreign culture. And now look at us, the poorest people, the weakest people on the planet Earth with no power. Everyone tells us what to do. Everyone is controlling us, and we've been in chaos ever since. So I hope that helps for anyone who wants to know what the culture of Wu-Sabat is. And family, for you, all you Nuwapians, you Sabians, you have to teach that to our people. They don't know this basic knowledge about culture and why the master teacher is the man of the hour who has tirelessly restored our culture. Here, the master says this. Question, why does it seem that nature has turned against us? Answer, all over the world, people are suffering from natural catastrophes. Mother Nature, who we call the Nathar today, is fighting back, and people are dying. He told us, the master told us that Earth is a living entity and that it has feelings. The Earth will treat you the way you treat her, with all of the damage that you humans have caused. You are destined for destruction. The Nathar, your family, see the humans have a suicidal mentality. They do any and everything to destroy themselves. Many people say that this sounds crazy. However, that is what people usually say when they don't understand something. This is what the master says this, but the earth is much more sensitive than just you growing food from her to eat and mow the lawn so it can look pretty for you. You cut down the trees for unnecessary purposes. Everything from the dense rocks to the tallest tree is vibrating and has life. Everything is linked and basically has a chain reaction. When Mother Nature decides it is time for an animal to become extinct, you decide you want to preserve the animal by placing them in what is called wildlife preserves or game preserves. You grab lions and tigers and implant them with transmitters. The panda bear was disappearing. You decided to kidnap them, mark them with homing devices, and shoot them with tranquilizers and take samples. It doesn't dawn on you that nature says it is time for these animals to become extinct. The earth works in harmony. If you disrupt that, you will eventually have to pay the consequences, which you are doing now, with floods happening on the east and west coast of this country, and fires are happening on the west coast. What I'm saying is this: you have totally deviated away from Mother Nature and being in tune with her. Now, this is 1997. He said this, and look at the world, how the world has been in the last 30 years. Absolute, it's gotten worse. Let's keep going. He says, you do all of these things. Then when she decides to retaliate, you complain. You get mad and say, oh my God, why is this all happening? I tell you why. You are like a parasite on the back of Mother Nature, and she is trying to shake you off any way she can. You harm and do so many treacherous things to many others of God's creatures that what goes around comes around again. So he said, the laymen don't know this. However, any scientist can tell you that the earth is a living entity. It possesses centrifugal and centripetal and magnetic forces that work together with Nagato or Nawapian's bodies. The magnetic field of a human is part of Earth's magnetic field, of which it is a part, and in which it moves independently. These fields are composed of positive and negative vibratory energies or forces. Family, if y'all notice, birds have been dying, insects have been dying off. You have sea creatures, whales been dying. Why? Because they're messing with the magnetic fields of the planet. The Navy has been doing experiments in the ocean, doing sound wave experiments, killing sea life. They've been doing magnetic experiments in the atmosphere. They've been killing off insects, birds. They all are connected to the magnetic field. That's how birds fly. And when you disrupt those things, these forces in nature, it disrupts all life on Earth. Remember, I just said our culture was in tune with all these forces, when we ruled ourselves. Now that we live Western culture, we have no connection to nature. That's why we don't even understand the danger of eating all the artificial food we eat. You don't supposed to do anything artificial. We're doing butt injections. We're doing lip injections. We're doing breast implants. We're doing fake teeth in our. You don't supposed to put anything that's not natural to your body. It will disrupt your own magnetic field. The human being has a magnetic energy grid. When your blood flows from the brain to the toes, right, the flow of blood moves the electrons in the blood that creates an electromagnetic field. Every species on the planet has that energy field. And when you do something that's unnatural, you disrupt that. This is why there's so much sickness and death on the planet. It's also the reason why there's so much mental health issues, because when you mess up your magnetic field, you mess up your consciousness, because your consciousness is electrical. And when you do unnatural things, it messes up the electrical flow of consciousness. That's why you have so many birth defects also. You used to know this science. But again, this is what makes the master teacher what? The man of the hour. The man of the hour, to restore this divine knowledge. We used to have this. We used to know it. We don't know it no more. We don't know it no more. We don't know it no more. Question. On page 98. What is the spell of Leviathan? The spell of Leviathan is an evil hypnotic spell of sleep of your subconscious mind, a spell of spiritual ignorance and racial blindness. You're not in tune with your subconscious mind. People, do you know where your subconscious minds flow through in the body? Do you know where does the subconscious mind flow through in the body? I'll tell you where. It flows through your spinal cord. It's connected to your spinal system, which connects all your emotions move through the spine, move through your spinal system, which allows you to control your body. And your spine is connected to the brain. So the brain signals down the spine, and then the spine signals to every organ, every part of the body that allows you to move and feel. It's what keeps you in tune. That's why you disrupt that when you do anything artificial. When you do artificial things that's not natural for your body, you disrupt your spinal system. Mukasu notice, they notice, but they won't tell you because they're trying to get you to kill yourself. Yeah, I used to know this. We used to have this right knowledge, but we lost our mind. That's why he said the spell, it disconnects you from your subconscious. If you're not in tune with your spinal system, you're not connected to your subconscious. Your spinal system controls all your involuntary systems, functions of the body. Your heart rate, your eye fluctuation, all your involuntary systems of the body, your digestive system, your respiratory system, circulatory system, all that's controlled through the subconscious. Your ancestors used to be in tune with their subconscious, so they had control of every cell of their body. We used to be ambidextrous. You use both sides of the brain. We had the abilities like that movie they showed us. What's that movie? Lucy, with that girl from the Avengers. She played that movie called Lucy, where she had full uses of her brain, where she was able to dematerialize. Our ancestors had that knowledge. And because we've been under the spell for the last 6,000 years, we forgot all our abilities. This is why right knowledge is back. Right? To restore our our divine mind. Question: Will everybody be allowed to get on the shams, right? The crafts of our ancestors to pick us up. They were supposed to pick us up 2003. We missed the pickup. They were supposed to pick us up 2013. We missed the pickup. They were supposed to pick us up in 2023. We missed all the pickups. Why? I'll tell you why we keep missing the pick. If you don't restore your soul, you can't get picked up. I mean, it's as simple as that. Where you're in tune with all of your whole physiology. You have to be in harmony with your whole physiology. You can't do that until you restore your heart center, as I keep saying. So the question is, will everybody be able to get on the ships, right? Or the shams? Answer: now we have come down to the last 3 years of the evil one's rule, right? Because this book was written in 1997, so we're 3 years away from the year 2000. People are teaching class saying when we get on the ship or when we get there and talk to the Anunnaki, well, you are overestimating yourselves. Although you have right knowledge, your soul needs to be right. You have to be in tune with the craft because it is a living organism. If you are not aligned correctly, you will touch the craft and you will be electrocuted. Family, that's why you have to restore your soul in order to be able to fluctuate your vibrations. You can't get on those crafts if you're not able to do that. And so the master he likens it to the Philadelphia experiments. One of the reasons why he told us about the Philadelphia experiment, and if anyone has not watched that movie, watch the movie, because supposedly with the experiment, when they had a battleship that they was trying to turn invisible, so it changed the vibration of the ship. And when the ship vibration, all of the sailors that were on the ship who weren't in tune with their own spiritual nature, their vibration raised up and they got separate. They separated. Their spirits were separated from their physical body. And then when then when the vibration was shut down, right? They a lot of them became embedded in the ship because they weren't in tune to control their physical form along to maintain harmony with their spiritual form. So you got quite a few of them died. The Master Teacher said he has stated at the second annual Nawapa Ball, if you're not doing the right thing and you have your little thing on the side doing shady things, if you are wearing a ring with the Messiah name on it, the ring will get through. However, you won't because your heart isn't pure. You see that? I keep telling you, the heart center. Divine love. We don't love ourselves and we don't love our people, and that's really the issue. Question: you talk about the Philadelphia experiment, the ship. Why didn't some of the men who were on the ship make it through the vortex? Answer: the people who didn't make it had biorhythms that weren't in sync or in tune with the vortex. By that, I mean everybody has a zero time reference. For humans, it is the point of reference at which every individual is conceived. and it continues on to the gestation period until they're born and until they're dead. At death, the soul goes on and can come back, reincarnate theoretically or in the past or future. This time reference is sometimes fragile when you start pumping gigawatts of power and actually pulse to the gigawatt region, the type of energies that will affect the psyche, the mind, and spirit. You disrupt these references. So what happened was the reference of the individual is disrupted, right? So this is talk about even in current, like the military. There's a doctor that the military was sending people to, and the soldiers would claim that they were near a UFO and they had health problems by being there. They got burnt, some of them got burnt, and different things will happen to them. And all. And the reason is because these crafts are moving at very high rates of personnel getting hurt by being near these different crafts. So that's been documented. That's been documented. So someone thinking that they're going to get on a craft with the masters, they can't. You can't. You can't get picked up by your ancestors because you're not in tune with anything. We don't want to give up the European culture. We're still drinking, smoking, eating bad food. You know, we're just native. And that's the problem. Selfish. The heart center is all messed up. So question: will the 144,000 be under the spell when the crafts come? The answer: no. And that is the point in this mission, which is to break the spell of Leviathan, raise 144,000 worthy souls who will not be under the spell. The 144,000 have pre-encoded at this time with the help of the facts that my father put out. That means that their DNA structures were genetically designed to go off at the sound of my father's voice and reading the scrolls, like an alarm clock at a designated moment in their own lives in order to accommodate more facts and right knowledge, right wisdom, and a right understanding. The time for genetic alignment was from the year 1970 to the year 2000, which marks the end of the moon cycle, which symbolizes the evil one's rule and the beginning of the sun cycle, right? So we were supposed to be ready, but we weren't ready. Why? Because I keep telling you, the heart center. We have a whole bunch of right knowledge. Nawapians have a lot of the right knowledge, but We haven't translated to good people though. And not being a good person, the right knowledge becomes worthless. Why you think we can't work together? We haven't been able to set up the communities again. We haven't been able to work together to free the master teacher. That tells you that there's something wrong with us still. Just having right knowledge is not, that's just half the battle. Yeah, the Mukasu call it plasma technology. Or they say 0 point energy. And they have different names for it. You know. Let's see if there's anything else before I go to the last thing, the heart. I want to deal with the heart center. I keep talking about it. You know, but we covered a lot on why the master teacher is the man of the hour. Again, the master is teaching us things that no one has ever taught. No one has the knowledge to even teach it. You know? No one has the knowledge. And so the rest of the book was just talking about how we don't even love the way we look. And so how the Nathar are going to come pick us up? And we don't even like the way we look, which means we don't like the way they look because we do everything to alter ourselves. That's why I say you can't have any alterations in your body and be on a crafts. You can't have any feeling, false teeth or anything artificial on the body. You know? Well, he talks about that. Hold on. If you go to actual facts, number 46. Let's do that real quick. Actual facts number 46, intelligent design scroll. One of my favorites. A very powerful scroll. Yeah. Actual facts number 40 will be page 40, 41. Just so you can see, we have page 35. See this actual facts, number 46, intelligent design, divine design, plot of aliens, right? And page 40. This is page 40. He says here, paragraph 225. Question real quick. Can you explain the 0 point, your time reference according to one's birthday? And how to start from that point in meditation. Okay, 0 point, understand this, 0 point reference, what that is, a time reference. Every human that's born onto the planet, so all the babies that are born today, their 0 point reference will be in sync with the vibration of the earth for today, 2025. And they'll be in sync with the consciousness of the planet. Okay. And so each timeline of the planet has its own reference point in time. And so whenever you're born, let's say you were born 100 years ago, you would be in sync with the culture 100 years ago. Or if you was born 1,000 years ago, your time reference will be connected to that timeline. Okay. Because you would be out of sync. Imagine someone today had the consciousness today, but they go back in time 1,000 years, you would not be in sync with the consciousness on the planet at that time. You'll be out of place. You'll be out of place, out of sync, and all. And so, and you know, that's a problem because you have to mentally function in the environment that you're in, right? In order to be able to be efficient in an environment, every species have to be in sync with their environment. Because when nature creates a species, Nature makes sure that species is in harmony with its environment and it provides everything it needs. Nature makes sure that every species has what it needs. And so that's why you can't take a species out of its environment and put it in a different environment, because it wasn't designed for that by nature. So that species, when you do that to a species, it'll basically start to decay and it'll die off because it's not in harmony and in sync with its environment. Okay, and so that goes for, so that's why the master talks about in the Philadelphia experiment that their time reference was thrown off. Their body and their spirit separated. They were out of sync with each other because the vibration, when they was on that battleship, the vibration rose up. He's on here. And then when they stopped the experiment and the vibration went down, because they weren't in tune with their spiritual self, when the spirit dropped and the physical body dropped, they dropped out of alignment with each other. They were not in alignment. And so a lot of people basically suffered. They got injured. And so that's why the masters can't pick us up, because they have to make sure you are in sync with your spiritual self. That's why the master had to educate you about your own spiritual nature, or you can't travel interdimensionally unless you physically die. Now, if you physically die, you won't be bound to your physical body. You'll be in your spirit body, and that'd be different. Then you can travel that way. But if you're in your physical body has to be in tune with the spirit. Right? So I show that all the time, right? When I bring up the Avenger movies, I bring up the Avenger movies and where the master, she's able to take what she do? She take the Incredible Hulk, and she did that to the Incredible Hulk, right? And so that's a good reference point to show, because I love showing it, because it's excellent. It's an excellent reference. If I can find it, I'll show it so we can talk about that, because that's a very family. You got to get this. You got to get that part. You have to study what I'm saying here about your time reference and being in sync with your spiritual self. That's of the utmost importance, to be in tune. For one, to be in tune with their own, spiritual nature. Yes, Doctor Strange. Yes, Doctor Strange is another one. Excellent. Hold on. If I can find it, I'm trying to find it for you, family. Give me a moment. I'm almost there. I am almost there. I thought I had it. I thought I had it. Wow. Where is it? Where is it? A blizzard. Come visit. Okay, I can't find it. But all right, so here's the master teacher, and the Incredible Hulk. I've showed this many times before, and she's gonna separate his physical from his spiritual, right? So it's very powerful scene.
I'd be careful going that way. We just had the floors waxed.
I'm looking for Dr. Strange.
You're about 5 years too early. Stephen Strange is currently performing surgery about 20 blocks that way. What do you want from him?
That, actually.
Ah! I'm afraid not.
Sorry, but I wasn't asking.
You don't want to do this.
You're right, I don't, but I need that stone and I don't have time to debate it.
So there she goes. She separate him from his physical shell, right? His physical body. Now, we supposed to be able to do that ourselves. This is what the master teacher has been teaching us. We have to learn to do that ourselves. Separate your physical from your spirit from your physical. It happens to us every night we go to sleep. Your physical body or your spirit separates from the physical because the physical is in the sleep mode. The physical body's in the sleep mode. You have to learn how to do it even while you're not asleep. Because what happens when you go to sleep, your consciousness shuts down, the subconscious boots up, and the subconscious is operating within the spirit body. That's why when you're dreaming, right, that's the subconscious really operating. And the subconscious is recalling life experiences, because usually we dream about events that happen in our life. Mostly it's the TV and movies that we watch that we dream about, or events that might have happened, in your personal life you dream about or whatever. It's recorded. Every experience we have is recorded by the subconscious. So when you're dreaming, your subconscious is replaying that event. And it's operating in your spirit body. So the key is you have to link. Our consciousness has been fractured. Our physical conscious, our waking conscious has been divided from our subconscious. And our also waking conscious has been divided from our superconscious, which is the oversoul. Because we have three distinct consciousness operating at different vibrations. The master teacher explains this in the Science of Healing book. The different states of consciousness that we have is 3 layers to it. You have to interlock those layers. How do you do it? You have to get the conscious vibrating at the same rate as the others. This is why the master teacher gave us the chanting rituals. We chant in the tone of A. You can raise your consciousness to link up with the other consciousness. You can link them. That's why people talk about lucid dreaming, that when they're able to lucid dream, their conscious is linked up with their subconscious, and they can control their dream world. Because when you're dreaming, you're in what they call the plane of force. The plane of force is a realm ruled by attraction. We're in the material plane, right? Human beings exist in a material plane or the physical plane. The physical plane is ruled by desire. That's why humans are trapped by desire on this realm. The next realm up is the plane of force, and the plane of force is ruled by attraction. So whatever your mind thinks about, it can create in that realm. That's why you can create anything in your dream realm, in a dream reality. Your imagination can create. That's why they tell people, if you think positive and you focus on positive stuff, what you're doing is, if you apply enough emotion to it, you can bring that that your dream reality or your imagination into this realm. But you have to apply a lot of emotional energy to it, which is why usually people have that experience when they go through trauma. They have a spiritual experience, usually through a traumatic event. Why? Because in trauma, you generate a lot of energy, emotional energy. That's why the secret government, that's why when they experiment, they're doing things, they're doing experiments, they traumatize people to get them into a spiritual state to generate the energy, because they didn't know how, back in the day, they didn't know how to trigger it without trauma. You can control your spirit, your astral state, once you lock in your consciousness, as I just explained. It can be done. But you have to be able to raise your consciousness. And so, okay, let me it's that the movies are just an example to give people a visual, because humans work on, humans' minds are visual, right? We see in pictures. So it's good, until we can come up with our own diagrams to show things in actual, visualization. People work on, they just do. They work on visuals. They work on sound. That's why the movie industry is so big and the music industry is so big. You can influence and manipulate humans through movies and music, because that's what motivates people through those tones. The Mukasu, they've been mastering that, how to manipulate human beings through those methods. But where am I? Science of healing. I just want to show you people. I've talked about it many times before, and obviously you got to keep reminding people. Right here, we're in the Science of Healing book. This is page 84. Just so you can see it. Science of Healing. Scroll, just so you can see it. Where we at? Page 84. So this is really page 80. So the third eye sends messages of knowledge from one level of the mind to another. There are three levels of consciousness. You have the normal level of conscious, right, which is what we're all of us are operating from our normal level. Then you have the subconscious level, and you have the superconscious level, right? So the master says your mind has a numerous amount of memory vaults used for storage of many experiences you have encountered. Although your normal level of consciousness does not possess access to this knowledge, at various times it receives intuition or instinct from the oversoul, which is your etheric body, which does have access to this knowledge. This is the reason you may have said, I've been here before, or I remember this incident, or I've done this before. The mind levels interlock with each other. One form of message sending is intuition. If the third eye is not sufficiently open, or it is disturbed by emotional stress, messages between mind levels may be hindered, delayed, or sometimes completely interrupted. Okay, and so you have to lock the mind levels, interlock with each other. In order for them to be in tune, you have to interlock the levels of consciousness. How do you do that? Through vibration, family. You have to generate more emotional energy in the body through your spinal system. I don't have time to go into that. That's a whole nother that's a whole nother discussion. But the master talks about it in this scroll, about the spine, the different and I'll just show you real quick. Okay, this is on page 70. Okay, you have the sympathetic nervous system. Okay, you have the sympathetic nervous system and you have the cerebral spinal nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is feminine and the cerebral spinal nervous system is masculine. What does that mean? The sympathetic nervous system being feminine, that's energy being released from the body. Energy in the feminine, in the feminine state, or excuse me, feminine and negative polarity. I'm sorry. The sympathetic nervous system is in a negative polarity. When you're in a negative polarity, you're releasing energy from the body. When you're in a positive polarity, you're harnessing energy from the body. So the sympathetic nervous system is what allows your body to move, to function. The signals go from the brain, right? It goes down to the back of the neck, the back of the lower part of your head, the medulla oblongata, which connects the spinal system, and it sends signals through there and allows you to move the body. That's how you're able to move your body, and your senses operate through there. You feel things, sense of touch, taste, smell, all of that's being controlled from the brain to the spinal system. The sympathetic nervous system is operating that. And then you have the cerebral nervous, the cerebral spinal nervous system. That's positive. That's taking information into the body. It's harnessing information into the body. Okay, so that's a positive harness, like a battery, positive, negative charge of the battery. The negative releases the energy. The positive is when it's charged, when it's fully charged. Okay, so the human body works the same as magnetic theory. If you study electrical theory, if you study magnetic theory, the human body works on the same principle within nature. So you have to learn to become in tune with it. The master teacher gave us all the secrets. He gave us all the knowledge, all the right knowledge. We used to know all of this stuff. We forgot all of it because we've been dispelled. What the spell did to us, it disconnected us from our subconscious, which disconnected us from our spinal system, was disconnected from our emotional center. Your emotional center is moving through the spine. Your emotions is your soul. Your soul is your emotional center. And that's how you lost your soul. We lost our soul by being disconnected from I don't have time to go into it. That again, like I said, that's a class all to itself, going into just the science of it all. You know, because it's a lot. Just going into the science of it all. But I'll do one more thing before we time out. As I said many times before, the restoration of our soul. Excuse me. We have the right knowledge. That's not the issue. The issue is our heart center is off. That's what the issue is. Our heart center is off. And unfortunately, you know, when your heart center is off, we're controlled by fear. That's the other thing. You can't, connect with the Nathar, and you're controlled by fear. You can't get on the crafts and you control. That's because that 6 ether force is moving through you. Selfishness, that 6 ether moving through us. And so you have to get your heart center right. You know, that way, once you do that, the heart center, this is on page 53? What is the heart center? The heart center is not the physical heart that has 4 chambers and pumps blood, but it is the spiritual heart that is the meeting point between man's spiritual desires and man's carnal desires. So you have the heart is the middle, is the mid. Humans live from the heart down, right? So from the heart down, you go from the heart to the stomach, which is why we eat all the time. to your sex organs, right? We're constantly having sex, and to your buttocks, you're releasing waste. Those are the energies that's activated in the average human. You have to reverse it. You have to reverse the polarity from going down to going up. So you got to go from the heart center going up, the inverted heart. So you go from your heart to the next center is your throat. From your throat, you go to the nose, your mirror. And from the nose, you go to the forehead, where the seat of the third eye is, from the forehead to your crown, where the pineal gland is in the crown, the pituitary gland is the forehead. You have to reverse the energy. The polarity of the energy has to go up. That's why we teach you how to fast. You have to meditate. You have to do all it. You have to reverse the behavior patterns we all learned in Western culture. The Western culture got us living from the heart down, from our heart center down to the buttocks. They got us living on that, from that energy, the lower self. You have to reverse that. So it's a lot, family. But this is what makes the master teacher the man of the hour, who's restored our divine knowledge. This is, our ancestors knew all of this. We forgot it though. So one had to come and restore our divine mind, right? The man of the hour had to come and restore our divine mind. You know, we lost our divine mind. We lost knowledge of our own spiritual nature. So the answer to solving all our problems, you have to go within, the journey within. In order to overcome this dragon, these demons that control the planet, you have to go within. You have to resist all their temptation. Remember, capitalism is about desire, to lust after stuff, to keep buying stuff. It's a system based on greed. That's all capitalism is. Make money, spend money. Consumerism. Spend, spend, spend. Make money, spend, spend, spend. It locks you to this density. The third density that we're on, this realm is based on desire. This is the realm of this desire, the material plane. The Mukasu, this is their realm. They come from this realm. This is their realm. And we're trapped here with them, with these demons. Yeah. And because we're under a spell, we don't know that. We don't. They got us thinking. I mean, we can go all day. All right, but that was a lot. It's a whole lot. It was a whole lot. We got off to a late start, so that's why we went over normal time, because we started a half hour late because our system was kind of messed up. Well, we have it rocking and rolling now. Everything's rocking and rolling now. You guys hear me? So we're gonna time it out, but you know, we'll we will be back. One, two. Can you hear me? One, two, 1, 2. Oh, you can hear? Okay, I'm thinking y'all can't hear. All right, my bad. That's what's up. I'm glad y'all can hear. All right, that's what's up. Wonderful. All right, so that was a lot. Take your time. I always say watch the lectures more than once. I do that myself, right? Because I don't remember all the stuff we talking about in all these lectures. So take your time, spread the word, right? Let everyone know Wu-Sabat is the only way. It's the only solution. The man of the hour has been with us, right? This being with all his knowledge on how to deal with the challenges that we're dealing with. This is salvation knowledge. You have to spread the word. Fix your heart center, family. Become good people. I know it's not easy. We were all raised like this, and the biggest issue is our genetics got messed up. That demon knew what it was doing. That's why they were raping our family. And they put their bloodline in us, and so their spirits are moving through us. But we have to fight through it. That's why you have the right knowledge. You're supposed to use the right knowledge to fix yourself. Use the right knowledge to fix yourself, to become better people. And that's how you restore your soul. So, with that being said, I will see you all next week, right? 7 p.m. every Tuesday, Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back. We'll be back. Much love and be safe, family. Why do?